A corpse would be left well alone, isn't that the case? Well, yes, in general, normal circumstances it should be the case. But today we are going to look at a very certain and specific corpse that arrived 2 days ago, and I am very astonished with what I've gotten here. So we will take a close look at that certain corpse, because Figma presents us their version of Bloodborne's Lady Maria of the Astral Clocktower. Upon the arrival of the figure, I was quite excited to finally hold Maria in my hands, because since the day the promotion photos came out, I was very much anticipating this figure, and having it finally in my hands, I am very happy and pleased to finally see the final product here before my very eyes. Of course, I was even then very well aware that this is still Figma, and this is not a very high 1/6 company like FreeZero or Hot Toys. But since Maria, as far as I know, has no 1/6 figure of herself, Figma's version must be sufficient for me. But it is not just any version. If you can see here, we have the deluxe edition of Maria. I ordered this from a little online store called All Blue World, and I gotta say I am, from the very 2 days experience I had, pleased with this figure overall. Very cool, very cool deluxe edition, where you get a little few extras. Like you can see, here is this chair she presents herself in, which is the main pose we encounter Maria in as we enter her boss room. Of course, the cool neat thing is that we also get your bloodstained weapons and a few little other accessories we will go in a little bit. And since Maria is not such a scale figure, we can easily go around and do the little part of the articulation. I'm going to even show you a little bit here and there what I did not like about the articulation and what you may possibly encounter. But since in the first few minutes I will give you a little bit of thoughts with the 2 days I had to experience and pose her. So as I said, I will now give you a little bit of thoughts here and there about this figure. So I am giving you one little thing on the road to buying this. Having the 2 days of experience with Maria posing herself, playing with herself, that sounds a little bit wrong. But yeah, having the opportunity to give Maria a shot, seeing what she can do, what she can't do, where the limitations of her articulation is, how the details look and such, I have to conclude I am in love with this figure. But it is not a 10 out of 10 love I have, for example, with my Dead Power Optimus or my Tangmang EX figures. But anyways, more overall, Maria gives us fantastic details. Even the little bloodstains on her necklace, or whatever this thing is called in English, I don't know. From her garment to her cape to everything, her head. The hair is amazingly sculpted and painted, even though the articulation on it is just fucking shit, and I hate it. Most often than not, it will get in the way of the head's articulation, and the joint Figma used for the head is not the best choice I have seen so far. Because it will not only hinder because of the joint, but also because the hair gets in the way on the collar of her gown, which is around her shoulders. As such, I most often just put the hinge joint she has in the neck a little bit up higher, so the hair doesn't get in the way as much as possible. Her cape is plastic. I do not, and I repeat, not love a cape that is made out of plastic. It is just fucking annoying. I had this problem with my Makaikado Garo figures, where the 10th anniversary Koga and the online shop exclusive Ryuga Lost Shine version had the plastic cape. I can understand it with Ryuga because they can fold out into wings, but even then, fantastically made cape slash wing out of one single piece, but with benny wires flowing throughout the material would have been the best thing to do. Seeing all the duplicate details, the smaller things that make Maria out, is very enjoying to look at in your detail. But as I said, because of the articulation, you will get there in cool poses, as well as the hands she has to hold her weapons. I don't know how to describe it, the feeling is just not there, you know what I mean? Like, I tried to have her weapons grip the shit out of it, but the plastic is a little bit of a bendable thing to input the hilt, the gripping section of her Rakuyo. And I don't know if you can remove anything of any of the hilt pieces of the Rakuyo swords, which means that I don't know if I can even put it on and off every time without just damaging or outright breaking the thumb of her off, which is just a little bit of sadness and danger I'm feeling. As such, I will after this review keep the hand just constantly on the one grip she has for the Rakuyu that can be replaced with the sheath and the blooded blade, so I don't have to worry about anything. Another problem I have with Maria is, of course, that even though I like the code she has and the material used, it is a stable thing, and it is a little bit, what I mean with a little bit, it's very much flexible, especially around her skirt, whatever that is. That skirt, that skirt she has is a little bit flexible, very much flexible, so you can give the legs a little bit room to move around freely. The problem with this is following. Yes, you can have them flex out very greatly, but they do not stand at that, and they have a little bit of force pushing down the leg when you have them released from your grip. As such, the legs will not really stay in one position, only have a limited degree they can go. This does not really limit the figure at most, to be honest, because there are ways around. You can just tuck the other side of the skirt around her coat's arms, or whatever that shit is called, so they can hold up a little bit, and to some degree the legs can support the weight of that thing pushing down, but to a certain degree, around 19 degrees, they will just stop and push a little bit down and stay there. The cape is most often in the way of the figure for arm posing and such. Of course, you can remove it, you don't have to have it, but as I said again, please, bendy wire cape would have been much better. And since the torso is around the belly a little bit tight when it comes to joint, it just leads to the torso being able to fully go into the articulation it could have. I bent the thing forward, but it just not stays fully down, so I lift it up a little bit so it can get the range. Of course, such this pose you see is not very much of an issue, it can do it alone, but that it has to be done to get the more extreme poses is a little bit of sad in my eyes. Most of the other tweaks are here and there, which I will go more in depth in the articulation section, but for now just enjoy the little poses she has and here and going here and there. The last thing I just wanted to mention is, despite the size of the figure, it has presence because the dimension is widely ranged. Yes, sorry, my little brother just marched into the room. Anyways, where was I? Yes, the little tweaks I have here and there just will be elevated and a bit more explored during the articulation section, which means that we have just, I believe, one more thing I wanted to say about it, which would probably be, yes, the legs itself. They don't have very much range of movement, to be honest. The knees upwards are very cool, 90 degrees back and forth, I will show you later as I said, but just to have to say, they do not rotate on the thighs or anything, but just below the knee the boots can be taken off for the sitting static lower body to be plugged in, so she can sit flat on the chair. And such, that is mostly the point where you can turn around, because a little bit up on that she has the joint, hinge joint, ball joint, whatever that, which is a little bit odd, to be honest, since the joints on her crotch are like this typical triangle thing you see. You can pull them a little bit down, like on the arms you can pull them down, barely noticeable due to the clothes overall, but you still cannot twist the legs on the thighs. Last what I have to say, it is very dark here. You can barely see that my entire lights are full on. I have here the light on my phone on, and it is just not barely to be visible. Maybe if I pull in a little bit more, maybe then. No, not at all, but anyways, I can tweak it later on. The Evelyn, yes, the Evelyn, it looks amazing. Oh, holy shit, the details are amazingly cool. Here a little bit close up of the Evelyn, and it is amazing. Oh my god, the engravement on it are fantastic. I just love this piece of a weapon. Unfortunately though, the Evelyn has to be plugged in like the Rakuyu sword grips, which means that you have to bend the fucking thumb till it breaks apart, put in the Evelyn and align it somehow. And I am, as I said, very much worried about it, that someday the thumb will just break or the hands will just lose the grip they have on the item. So just sticking on the most important stuff, the hands I need, and yeah, most of it just have it like that. But overall, let's go to the little bit of the articulation section we have and see you soon. Now getting to the articulation section, as you can see I have Miria here in my hands, just showing you out a little bit what you can do. As action figure collector, poses are very important to us. Starting with the head, she can rotate around to the nice degree she presents us. Which I don't like is that she can only go so far down unless you pull up the peg she sits on and go only that far straight out at most without putting it up. If you will do, it will go further than that, of course. The ponytail she has is here on a little mechanism that you can lift it up and down, and the tail itself can rotate. Of course, since the joint is attached here like this on the back of his head, like many Figma figures, SRG guards, and I believe Incarnation Nations do, so it hinders this a little bit. The upper torso can turn around, kinda limited. No, not really. Of course, you can lift it up a little bit so you can get all the rotation you need, but just a normal case when it fully sits down, it just goes up to a little bit so you can see a difference there. It bends down that much and go back, not very much, maybe just straight up, and I believe it doesn't even change if you wiggle it out a little bit. The arms can be pulled down, as I mentioned already. I mean, I don't know if you can see it very much, but you can definitely feel it. If you can stretch them out, they will go a little bit over 90 degrees. Because of the shoulder coat, it just hinders it a little bit. It can go forward that much, and it can go back 90 degrees if you will get rid of the cape. The arm can bend, of course, and this is what I mean, like the arm just straight up doesn't know where to sit. The arm can go this past 90 degree, and here of course the hinge allowing to rotate the hand in any position you want. The cape is on a hinge as well, so you can stretch it out, you can stretch it in, you can stretch it up and down, likewise here on this one. Here on the trench coat itself, it's the same. You can stretch them out, you can stretch them up, you can stretch them down, but due to the belt it's a bit limited, and the pegs holding this shit are not very long, so you can't really do much of them, and a bit of force would pull them down. From the jacket, they are on a flexible plastic, so you can bend them up if you want and have the side which is free rests on the coat's left arm, so you can kick that shit pretty much 290 degrees. And inside there is also ball joints, if you can see it here, that's connected, allowing the hips to move in direction, as it's the ball peg or some sort. Double bending knee, allowing for that sweet kneeling positions. We have here the rotation on the joint here on the knee, which is what I mean. It's just very awkward looking. It is just a little bit on thighs, but if you try to move them, you either have this awkward position of the thigh joint that is sticking out, or you can't really move them around at all without getting here the hips with the motion. The feet also hinge up and down if you turn it around side to side for a pivoting, and that is just mostly it of the articulation. Like, considering overall, Maria is a very great figure. The details are amazing, the coat, yeah, it's fine even if it's just a soft plastic thing, and overall it just looks amazing. But to be honest, I expect a little bit more, even knowing it is Figma we are talking about. Yet, even still, not a bad figure. It just does very many things very good, even though the flaws, as I said, are just kind of disturbing to me. Especially the hands, as I said, are kind of fragile to me, as I don't want to stress out the front so often, so I just keep on the hands even if I exchange shit. Other than that, the cape is just not good. I don't like it. The head is restricted. Legs twist on a very odd place and area. I would have hoped that the thighs would have been a place where to swivel them around. And the entire skeleton construction of Maria is a bit odd. The restriction by the clothes, even if some parts are soft plastic, hinder everything around it. So posability is kind of limited with more extreme shit. And maybe you can do here and there little things to just get around it or justify it, like having the head be a little bit higher than it usually would to just get the more range of movement. But yeah, regardless, what I also have not something in my liking is how the joints on the elbows are made. It's a double hinge joint, because if I saw correctly, there's a ball peg on the upper arm, and that connects to a hinge for the lower arm. This often brings the lower arm into an awkward position, and I often lose sight on if the entire arm is like in right angle, because if you would move it around, you may rotate the upper arm a little bit, so it looks a bit off and out of anatomy. But to everyone their own, just my opinion here. But as you can see here now, she is in a very cool position, and in overall, here and there a few poses you can do that look very cool, very majestic, and like very Maria style. I also don't have to say that the coloring on this is just amazing. It doesn't matter like move the force or not, on everything it just looks very great. More care and the flaws I have mentioned, this would have been a 10 out of 10 figure, and of course the accessories just give a very great flair and vibe. So regardless, I hope you enjoyed this little thing here, and don't forget to do the typical stuff for every YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, comment, let me know about your collection. What is your favorite piece in your collection? Did you buy Maria, the normal or the deluxe edition? Will you consider buying here? Who knows? But anyways, I hope you have a great time and see you to the next video. Ciao!